This week on Good Movie Monday, director Robert Connolly chats about The Magic Beach.
We attempt to name the best movie of 1985.
Our movie battle is It, the original miniseries, versus Return to Oz.
And we find out what Ben's secret fetish is.
Hello, and welcome to Good Movie Monday, the home of nerdy cinematic ramblings. Have you popped another button, Glenn?
I have.
That's right. This is the show where I have traditionally taken the position of fattest co-host, but Glenn is fast catching up.
We stuffed our faces before this, did we not?
We did. We had a lovely Al Jana dinner before recording the show. We didn't, as I requested, stop and get a battered Sav at the at the servo, but maybe that's just as well.
I've got a battered Sav right here.
I'll be sure to partake in that after the show. We have a fantastic show lined up for you today. We've got Robert Connolly. You're sitting down with Robert Connolly, the director of Magic Beach.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We've got we're doing 1985 as the best year in film. We've
Probably
got,
the most difficult year.
They're all the next 5 years are difficult, I think.
Yep.
Our movie battle is It versus Return to Oz. This is a really interesting one and very appropriate considering we're screening Return to Oz this week at Monster Fest.
I have a question about that one when we get to it.
And as always, let's get the housekeeping out of the way nice and early. As always, you can find us on all social media platforms, but the best place to go is our website, goodmoviemonday.com, where you will find past shows, new shows, videos of me doing filthy things with my the fetish that we're going to talk about later.
Secret dick pics.
The Easter eggs. The Easter eggs, if you can find them. Jesus.
I've always called them plums.
They make my secret OnlyFans look like Glenn's secret OnlyFans.
Never mind.
Now, you've had a bit of a cracker of a week this week, Glennis. You've been to several screenings.
Not only have I been to several screenings this week, I've been away as well.
You were away.
So since the last episode.
That was part of the secret of last episode. The fiction maintained that we recorded a show last week and that you weren't away, that you've just blown.
Well, I mean, I kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit, simply because the hardest thing about the trip, I went up to the New South Wales South Coast. These towns I was in had great little cinemas, and I really wanted to go and watch movies there, but I was sworn off movies for the whole time. I
thought you were going to say that there was a lineup of people welcoming you as the Good Movie Monday celebrity.
Had the sticker on the car.
into the town. They're waving their Good Movie Monday flags.
That's right. I had swag bags in the back of the truck, and it was a great time, and I represented. But no, it was nothing like that. It was a nice little getaway on the beach. But there were these little cinemas that I really wanted to watch movies in. But I had this whole purpose of the trip was to get away from
movies.
Get away from it all.
Did you go past anything giant?
No, and my wife was so disappointed that there was nothing giant, so I just ripped her a giant fart. I said, have some of that.
Closed off all the air vents in the car and
That's right.
Dutch ovened her. Happy anniversary, honey.
It was a 13-hour drive, and I did it all on the way up. So, yep, she was at my mercy. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it was a good time. But what else were you saying then?
But so you've been to see several media screenings this week. None of which I attended. One of which was Alto Knights, the Robert De Niro
one
film.
I can't talk about just because it's very strictly embargoed and it's very legal.
I don't know what that film is. Cool. If it's not Alto Knights, I don't know what that film is. Okay, well,
we won't talk about that. But yes, so I saw Alto Knights, right, which is the new gangster movie with Robert De Niro and Robert De Niro. And
Robert De Niro.
He's playing dual parts, which is really weird. It's from Nicholas Pileggi, the guy that wrote Goodfellas, The Irishman, Bugsy.
Isn't he Shocker?
No, that's Mitch Pileggi, isn't it? What's his name? Skinner from X-Files? Yeah, no, different guy. But look, it's I liked it more than The Irishman, so there's that. The whole it's a true story about two gangsters that rose up from childhood together to become rivals. One's trying to get out, that's Robert De Niro. The other one thinks he's tricking him, that's Robert De Niro.
It sounds like Once Upon a Time in America.
But the weird thing is, like, it's a really good story. It's much more comical than the other gangster movies. But
Every time he kills someone, he sits on a whoopee cushion.
no, the funny thing is because you got De Niro, who's one of his characters is the mob boss, the kingpin who wants to get out. He wants to retire. The other guy is the former mob boss who went into prison and lost his hold on the city, who is being given the opportunity to take over again, but he doesn't trust the opportunity. He's suspicious. Right. But there's a lot of comical play going on there. It is really, really weird having De Niro play both roles because they kind of just look like De Niro and sound like De Niro. And I can't help but think if you'd put Pacino or Pesci in the other role, it would have been a much better dynamic. However, by the end of it, the way he bounces off himself is hilarious.
They should have got Pacino. It should have been like Heat 2.
Yeah, something like
Heat
that.
Heat 2, Alto Knights.
But I enjoyed it. And the other thing was it was directed by Barry Levinson of Rain Man, Good Morning Vietnam fame. I thought he was dead. So there was a bonus.
That was a
He's
plus.
not. He's not. He's nearly 90, but...
I tell you, though, when you say comedic gangster films with a bit of comedy in it, that just makes me want to go back and watch the Jerky Boys movie.
Not Jane Austen's Mafia?
Or Mafia Mama, your favourite movie of last year.
That's a fantastic movie. What are you talking about? Yes, I saw that. I saw The Correspondent, which is the new Chris Stenders movie with Richard Roxburgh, which is the Peter... I can't remember the journalist's name. The Aussie journalist that got imprisoned in Egypt and charged with terrorism when he was just doing his job. Peter Crest. It was a big story on the news.
Well, the pen is mightier than the
2015
backpack full of dynamite.
And it's a movie along the lines of like Salvador Midnight Express, that kind of thing. Really, really well done. Comes out next month, and we probably have an opportunity to have Chris Stenders on the show. So that's going to be good. And Snow White, I saw that.
Yes. I've actually got you a little present.
What's that?
Because you didn't make me go and see Snow White. So I've got you the world's largest beer.
What's that for?
That's for not making me not have to go.
Look at the size of this. If you're listening to this podcast, jump over to YouTube or Facebook and check out the size of this.
It's the size of your head.
Wow, where'd you find that?
But I was going to say you're gonna crack it open now.
I am.
But later on, after the show, if you jump on Glenn's OnlyFans, Secret OnlyFans, he'll insert that in another orifice.
I certainly will.
During your live. During one of his lives.
Yeah, after the Battered Sav video. Right. Hang on, let's have... Wow. Oh! How long has that been in the fridge for?
It's the, was it say, imported from Germany?
Would you like a sip?
No. After that reaction?
Particularly with the backwash on top.
I feel like it's that scene from what's that is it Deborah Winger Billy Crystal movie?
Oh, fucking hell.
What's that and he in the trailer he's got that bit, he goes, never hold a spoon out to me and go, taste this, is it off? It's like yeah, I don't need to try
thanks for the gift. No. Thanks for the gift. I appreciate it. Do you want to hear about Snow White?
No.
Okay, moving on. There's so much wrong with it.
It's just yeah. Well, I guess that's some sad news.
Oh,
some sad news this week after that.
Bring it down a bit, don't you?
Bring it down a bit. Wings Hauser passed away on Friday.
I saw that.
And I have to say, as much as I love Vice Academy and all these other films, what I really want to watch now is his Murder, She Wrote episodes, where he goes head to head with Jessica Fletcher.
Was he related to Cole Hauser?
He's Cole Hauser's father.
He is, yes.
And Cole Hauser's mother is like is the daughter. His mother is like is a Warner, one of the Warner brothers brother.
Yeah, like, because Cole Hauser's part of the dynasty.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I have to say, the thing that I find super upsetting is I've been reading the message that his wife has released, and it's so self-serving for her. And you just like, she is someone who's obviously desperate to be famous, and she's glommed on to Wings Hauser.
Okay.
And trying to milk every
made
last...
it about her.
Yeah.
Far out. That's not good. Well,
instead of cards, send money to my film studio.
Well, there are some things in this world that you do well, and bringing the show down is one of them.
So that should be on my sticker.
It's Terrific TV Tuesday, the only Tuesday TV segment that drops on a Monday.
What have you been watching this week, Glenn?
Well, I have watched something new. I'm very excited to talk about it. However, in the time that's passed from me watching it, which was only a couple of days ago, binged the whole lot, it is now blown up and is the biggest thing in the world.
Is that Suits LA?
No. So I come bearing Adolescence, the new Netflix show that Stephen Graham wrote and produced, and it is phenomenal. It is this year's Baby Reindeer. Do you remember how that exploded?
That was, yeah.
This is a show like no other. It's 4 episodes, and every episode is done in one shot with one camera.
Yes, right.
And the camera work is phenomenal.
Is it real, or is it like...
Yeah,
Have they used tricks?
No, because of that, there's a lot of people that have questioned it. Netflix have released a behind-the-scenes documentary, and it is mind-blowing. My wife and I watched it, and we just couldn't get our minds around how they've done this. So, essentially, the story begins...
What if somebody fucks it up?
Well, they say this episode was caught on the 4th take. Like kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So, the premise of the show is it starts with a whole bunch of cops ramming the door of a suburban household and arresting a 13-year-old boy for murder.
Good.
And his family are all panicked. What's going on? Stephen Graham and can't remember who plays his wife, but it's panic stations. And from there, he gets into the car. They take him down to the station. We follow all the procedural stuff, from the strip search to the photos to interrogations, and it's all done in real time. And it's just mind blowing. And that's episode 1. Episode 2 then jumps 3 days later, and the cops are going to the high school. And this episode for me is the most phenomenal one. And they're interviewing kids that knew, friends and all that kind of stuff. But this is a set piece that has over 300-400 students at this school. It's an active high school, and the camera is moving in and around all of this activity. And the camera might go indoors for 10 minutes at a time, but when it comes back out, everything's still going on. So that means like that whole cast of 300 people were acting when the camera wasn't there. Like they had to stay in character.
Like The Office, where you always have to kind of be on.
And so that's phenomenal, where the camera goes and how it happens. And when you watch the behind the scenes, and this is not a spoiler, you watch it, you'll figure it out if you really think about it. It is a constant process of handing the camera to another person. And obviously a lot of cameras have stabilizers in them, so they can trade hands without it looking like they do. But it goes upstairs, downstairs, out windows. And then by the end of the second episode, you're in the fucking sky looking down. And they simply mounted it to a drone as they were walking. Incredible. Then the next episode is all the psychiatrist, the psychologist stuff. And then the final episode is how it affects the family and and how the father particularly is coping. Just the best. I can't recommend it enough.
Are there any Porky's-like scenes?
No, but it's given me the idea for a new show, you see.
Porky's version?
Yeah, where the camera goes through the hole.
I am down for that.
But I think you'd love it. As you know, like Stephen Graham is one of my favourite actors, and this is a show that just really cements that for me. He has a couple of moments in this where he outacts anybody on the planet. It's great. There you go. Adolescence. Everybody's talking about it. You've probably all seen it, so drop a comment and let us know what you think. What about you?
Now I feel bad because I just watched season 3 of Reacher. The penultimate episode went up. And when this episode goes live, the last episode of season 3 will be up on the following Thursday, and that will be the end of season 3, based on the Persuader. I think it's the Persuader book, which I actually haven't read, which is weird.
But that must be nice to watch a story that you haven't read.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I tried once again this week for the 5th time. I tried to watch the Wheel of Time TV series, and like they've changed. Like he said, the guy who created the show says that we changed it a lot so that people who've read the books won't know where it's going.
Yeah,
but he hasn't. It's still the same. Like there's one character that is a bad guy from the start, but they're a bad guy in the book.
But isn't that an interesting philosophy? Like we've changed the book so that the viewers won't know where it's going, and yet the one complaint most viewers have is, it's changed the book.
Yeah, it's not like the book. Like I get that you can't film the books, and they've the most difficult issue with that is the way that magic is portrayed in the book series, and
Yeah.
they've found a way around that, which is great, which works really well. But just it's just
So you've gone from talking about Jack Reacher to Wheel of Time.
to Wheel of Time, yeah. They've just made all the main characters really unlikable.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Like, they're like in the books, they're kind of hardworking farm boys.
Yep.
That's what they like. They live in because the whole thing is this woman comes to this town at the beginning of their Beltane festival, which is their spring carnival kind of thing. And she's searching for someone, but no one knows that, but that's why she's there. Mm-hmm. And at night, the village, they have their big festival, and the village gets raided by these monsters.
Uh-huh.
And the people who live out in the farms are kind of isolated and have to defend themselves, and all this stuff happens. But in the most part, they're just like it's a village. And now in the thing that like the one Matt Cawthon, who in the book is a bit of a troublemaker, but like a good-natured, I'm going to steal Mistress Thingo's pie off the windowsill kind of, like that's the most trouble he gets in. Now his father is a violent kind of aggressive kind of bastard, and his mother's an alcoholic, and he's like like a kind of almost like a golem type kind of character, jealous of everyone, and all this kind of stuff. And just like, Jesus Christ, like you've really sapped the fun out of this. Yeah.
Speaking of fun, the one I do want to watch, hopefully I can do it before next week or the week after. Remember we were talking, I think, on the last episode, and I found that John Lithgow TV series, and he looked like Hunter. I want to watch that.
Yeah.
Whatever that was, I'll have to go back and listen to that episode and figure out what that was.
I tell you, look, yeah. Hopefully someone on YouTube has put them all up.
I'm sure. If it's like before 1980, it's probably up there.
It's probably up there. Yeah.
Hey, libtards and repubtards, you are in for an absolute treat. Glenn and Ben, the other Ben, have a new interview hot off the press. If you don't have a coffee yet, then pause the show now, then come back and enjoy this Good Movie Monday exclusive. Thank you.
Well, Ben, this is that part of the show where I get to play my interview with Robert Connolly. This is a guy who I love his films. He's a director that made things like The Dry. He made The Bank back in the day, Ballabo, and he's got a trilogy which
it's pronounced Bilbo.
He's got a trilogy that Magic Beach is the third one of, and it's I don't know what you'd call it. I'll just say it's his family trilogy, because the first one was Paper Planes. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember
which
Paper
was
Planes.
For like primary school age kids, and then he did Blueback with Eric Banner, which was for high school students.
That's like if you're a gay bottom.
I knew he was going
I've
to go there.
got a blue back.
That's inappropriate, because now we're talking about Magic Beach, which was for preschoolers.
Oh.
But this is a really fascinating film, and it is legitimately an intelligent film for preschool age children. It's based on Alison Lester's famous Aussie book, Magic Beach. And the movie is told through a series of animations. And it's all about a group of kids that live by the beach, and each kid has its own little segment in the film. Begins with live action, the child, and as they walk down to the beach, it turns into animation as they go into the water. And then it's just a series of imaginations. Like, it's like what little kids, we're talking 3-year-olds up to maybe 5 or 6-year-olds, how they perceive the ocean. It's wonderful. And each animation is a different style. So one is stop motion, one is like digital, and just a really beautiful film. But as I said, it's a really deep, thoroughly layered and textured film. But I'm going to let Robert do all the talking. But I love this guy. He's a great filmmaker. He's become a friend of the show. He was here for Force of Nature. He spoke to me about that. So hopefully we can get him back when he has another one coming out. So here it is anyway, Robert Connolly.
Good, Glenn. Nice to see you, mate. Everything well with you?
Yeah, everything's great. Yourself?
Oh, very good.
Yeah, you're a busy guy, man. You're a busy guy. No sooner had Force of Nature come out, and then there's a trailer for Magic Beach. And I imagined that a production like Magic Beach would be long. Did it overlap? Did you have multiple projects on the go?
Yeah, look, I think Magic Beach has been a passion project for me for about 10 years. And in my family film genre, I did Paper Planes about 10 years ago. And it was after that film that I started seriously looking at Magic Beach. That was for primary school. Then I did Blueback for high school. And now I thought, this is my film for preschool, for little children. And it's our great book. And I met Alison Lester back then. And every film has its own strange gestation period. I can't work it out. Some films happen quickly. Some films take a long time. So it's been bubbling along. And the 10 animations in the film obviously took a few years. Each animator took a few years to do. So, yeah, it's just a beautiful synergy of things lining up and all coming together. And here we are now releasing the film in the January school holidays. I'm delighted.
You can see the hard work in the film, absolutely. But what was it about Magic Beach that drew you to it? How did you first stumble upon the book?
Oh, I read the book to my children. They're now 22 and 20 and are both at home. And I read it to them when they were little kids. And so funny, a agent who represents writers told me a great bit of advice when I was really young. Whenever you read a book to a little baby or a toddler, always say the author. So you should go, when you're about to read the picture book, you go Magic Beach by Alison Lester, and then and they said that you then instill in the children this idea that there's an author, that the book is, there is a create, and give them a sense that in your life people create things. But what happened when Kitty was 11, we went and stayed with Alison down at Walkerville, the beginning of the journey on this. And she met Alison, and Alison was like a rock star for her because all her childhood, all these Alison Lester books had been. And I love that, as a creative person myself. And I think for a lot of Australians, I mean, it's a book that sold 500,000 copies. So it's hard to find a family. In fact, our distributor has three sons, and said each one of the sons was given a copy of Magic Beach as a present when they were a baby. So there you go.
That is beautiful, and I love that, like saying the author's name, because you don't get that with cinema. You don't really, kids don't know who made E.T., until they're much older,
right. Yeah, who made Toy Story? Yeah. They know Pixar, or they know. I think I'm big on this authorship. It's like if you hear a piece of music you love.
Yep.
Go, oh, and then you'll look at who created it and then go down the rabbit hole of their other work. And,
we used to have a laugh on our podcast about when Lee Daniels did The Butler. We laughed because it was titled Lee Daniels The Butler, but it actually instills some history for you. Like, you get a look into the production. So, it's interesting. We've got the author of this, but we've also got your name. Maybe we could tack your name onto it. Robert Connolly's Magic Beach along with.
I do love the marketing. I love the marketing. This is how big. I mean, Alison Lester and the book Magic Beach is on the $1 stamp at the moment. That's how famous she is.
Incredible.
And I like the marketing materials come back, and it's like for these premieres and things we're doing, and they go from Alison Lester's Magic Beach in huge letters, and then underneath from the director of Paper Flames, Robert.
I love that.
I've been trumped. Having said that. Alison Lester turned up to the world premiere of Magic Beach at MIF in a pink full-length Hummer, got out of at the Astor, got out of it, followed by about 20 children. She is a rock star in this world. And
this is amazing.
And it's a highlight of my career that I got to work with her. She's a friend, and the book is just so imaginative, and it's bonkers. It's crazy.
Yeah, the movie is too. Like, had you always planned it to be vignettes, right from the start? I mean, I guess it kind of had to be, but it's very unique from the type of films that you've made before. Was it a daunting project to take on?
Yeah, hugely, fun, and like any project, really challenging to work out how to do it. And Alison was really big early on. She said, my books are successful because they trust kids. They trust their imagination. They don't fill in the blanks. They allow children to look at one page and the next page and follow the little pictures and come up with your own stories and dreams and ambition. And a lot of cinema now for children fills in all the blanks. It's so cleverly plotted, and and we've seen wonderful work for children in this regard, but it doesn't allow as much imaginative space. So if you're making a film for 4 to 8 year olds as your primary target audience, it's an interesting challenge. And Alison was really big with me about that. She said, make a film, let kids imagine things. You meet these kids in their real world, and they read the book, and they're on this beach, and it's like, wow, what is going on here? And then, it funnels them into this kind of crazy imagination and invites children to fill in the blanks and to dream and imagine their own lives. So
yeah, that's what I found fascinating, because I'm a big fan of family films, and I found this one, there's a lot of freedom for the imagination with this one. Like, the kids are not told the story as opposed to they're invited to join the story.
Yeah, I mean, kids are so so imaginative.
Yeah.
Like they're, my mother was a music teacher, and she believed every child that she would meet and was musical. She said we lose our musicality, but the music is in us. It's the same thing that every kid has drawn and painted a picture that the parents have put on the fridge with a magnet. Like
Yeah.
something in our nature as human beings. It's how we inhabit and exist. And the sad thing is that for a lot of people, those creative choices get trimmed off as we,
Mm-hmm.
I remember Peter Garrett when he was the Minister for the Art. It really stayed with me, and Minister for the Arts, and he said, how do we make a creative life? It's like the invitation, like when was the last time that you sang a song out loud? Like, you say to people, but we used to always sing.
Yeah.
Say to adults, come on, when was the last time you drew a picture or painted and that's what I tried to capture, that spirit in the film, so that it appeals to little kids, but also parents who might take kids, or grandparents, or even adults who don't have kids, who just love animation and love things that are a bit more lateral in
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
creative process.
And also, I think, too, as like a modern society, we probably coddle our kids a lot more. And this movie really took me back to my childhood when I was free to explore and there's a lot more adventure. So
Right.
I really appreciated that. But I want to know, like, what's the process of selecting animators? How did that all come together? Because I'm guessing there'd be a lot of people that want the gig.
Oh, it was so much fun. Just watching a lot of animation and having a sense of wanting to have different points of view. You've got Kathy Sarpi in her 20s, you've got Lee Whitmore in her 70s, 50 in age between. Lee's one of Australia's greatest animators. Kathy's at the beginning of her career. You've got an amazing Indigenous voice like Jake. I mean, his animation's just kind of out there. And then you go to the amazing stop mo animators we have, Anthony Lucas, Pierce Davis. Like, for me, you're just looking at this work and then discovering, people with different points of view, like Susan Danter, and like I can't even mention them all, because they're all
Yeah.
so different. And the joy for us to invite these 10 animators to take one of the kids in the book and then do their own animation in their own style. And then sending back this stuff, and it's like some's 2D, some's stop mo, some is painted on glass, some's hand drawn. But I think if you don't make a film with great joy and imagination, the work is stilted. Like across my career, it's been the journey to try and find a methodology to make the film, because it's in the DNA of it. So you need to make it in it. Like I had to channel being a little 5-year-old boy running around the beach
Yeah.
in order to direct it.
Love it. So, like, how does it work, though, when you've got all these animators and they're submitting their work? What happens when it comes across not as you envisioned? Like, is it a difficult conversation, or is it similar to directing actors and saying, do it again? Like, how does that work? Or you accept what they give you because it's just great?
That, I mean, I know it's crazy to say, because we think that creativity should be arduous and tricky, but these 10 animators responded to the brief and did work that was sublime. Like, I didn't look at a few little trims, and you put it into the big film and you go, oh, that one maybe should be tightened, or you might ask permission from one of the animators. The little boy who has the smuggler adventure, he looks through in the real world through the monoscope, and I'd asked the animator, could we use a bit of his animation so the little boy sees an animated boat, and that wasn't it. But give or take a few things like that, films they delivered are in this film.
Yep.
Like I'd love to say, yeah, I had to roll up my sleeves and be tough with them, but I was inspired by them, actually. And we shot the live action after the animation, so we did the animations first.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. And that brings me to, like, the old cliched adage of never work with animals or children. You've got heaps of it in the film. There's kids everywhere. How were they selected, and was it a challenge directing kids that young?
Yeah, we auditioned a whole bunch of kids, and I met them, and I'd be lying if I said that it was really easy to direct 9 kids between 4 and 7 and a dog on a beach but it was fun. Yeah. It was so much fun. Like you have to embrace the kind of madness and the creativity of it. It was one of those great entertaining adventures,
Those final moments on the beach where they're all together, like my wife and I were watching this together, and we felt like children. Like it really, really lifted our spirits seeing them all run around. Did you
I
just give
love
them a
that.
free pass to just do what you do, and we'll just roll the cameras?
Yeah, I created a little bit of structure,
Mm-hmm.
so a little bit of narrative structure. I was conscious of how we got in and out of the animations.
Yeah.
But, a great example of the magic of making this. So, Riley, the young girl who's deaf,
Mm-hmm.
and who was inspired by the character in the animation who was deaf, and she's from the Melbourne School for the Deaf over on St Kilda Road, an incredible performer, 5 years old. And I didn't know how we'd come out of her, real world into the dreamland, when she was there. And in the back of one of the frames of the book, there's like a mobile that has been made at the beach, which is a piece of driftwood with all little shells and things hanging off it. So we're down there, and I mentioned it'd be good to have that in the film. And Alison Lester went off and made the one that is in the film.
That's
It's
awesome.
the great Alison Lester. And she came back with it saying, this is great. And on the day, I'm thinking, and so we hang it on the tree. So that scene where young Riley opens her eyes and she's on the beach and she's touching all the shells and everything, which is a very visceral, physical thing. And she's hearing this beautiful world just in a different way to
Mm-hmm.
how I would hear it. And it wasn't scripted.
Yeah.
It wasn't, Alison Lester showed me the mobile and I was like, oh, wow, that's incredible. And then we hung it on the tree. And then, so that's more an example of, I knew that I needed in and out points, but I didn't have the ability to be really rigorous about what they were because I was working with a bunch of kids on a beach and the
Yeah.
weather. And I kind of had to roll with it. I
Awesome.
had to kind of get my brain, I had to, and often you do, I've done films like The Dry and Force of Nature, and they're plotted detective mysteries, big budget, sharp, like plotting. And
Yep.
so for me to then move into Magic Beachland was kind of a different part of my brain had to be liberated.
How did you get all the kids to the beach? Did they get there with their families? Did you put them on a bus so they were all getting along and making friends? Like how did you transport them all to wherever it was you filmed?
Yeah, so it's actually the beach that Alison Lester wrote the book on, which is
Oh,
great.
geez,
And there
amazing.
was some little motel type family accommodation nearby. So all of the children came with their families. And so they stayed there and the kids all got to know each other and played around a bit. And then we bring them to the beach and we'd all meet at Alison's house, which is the house in the. So they turn up every day and meet Alison Lester, who's like a rock star for them.
Yep.
And they get made up and have their little outfits put on, and we'd all walk down to the beach together. I mean, it was very creative.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these kids are so young. I mean, I've
Great
directed
story.
young kids, but this is kind of next level.
Yeah.
The most beautiful young people, beautiful young kids.
Yeah, I've not spoken to a filmmaker that's really spoken so affectionately about what they've just made. Like this, the passion is in it. It's coming across really well
Yeah.
from you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
loved it.
I did and ah about whether I should ask this question. I'm just going to do it, but you can pass on it if you want to. But I wanted to know, do you have a favorite segment?
I think it's like, because I've been making films for 28 years, someone said to me, films are like your children. You have to treat them all equally. You probably have a favorite, but you can never tell them.
That's a good answer. Well, I'll tell you, mine was Kingdom of Fish. That one really spoke to me for some reason.
Oh, great.
Can't even
Eddie,
tell you
yeah.
why. Can't even tell you why. It just did.
Yes, he was really interesting animator, and he was during COVID when he was doing this. He was trapped in Cartagena actually, and he had to work from the isolation, and that's when he noticed all these door knockers, and he came up with this imagination, and yeah, it's really interesting. And Azania,
Maybe it's because I long for the beach sometimes. I really crave being there. So like having one of these stories take place away from the beach and dreaming of being there, maybe that's what it was. I don't know.
that's wonderful. I know he would love to hear that. I think one of the great things about it is it's like listening to an album.
Hmm.
Everyone has their favorite. You know, like and I love that. Like a little kid might go, I like the really little kids like Kathy Sarpi's one because it's naughtier, you know. And then I've had a few little boys love those robot battles, and you know they were like, oh, you know, God, or you know. And so I think it does have enough. It has a broad, diverse range of points of view and emotions and experiences. Slightly older kids love Anthony Lucas, who obviously was nominated for an Academy Award for Jasper Morello, his animation, and his Smuggler one.
Yep.
You know, plays slightly older but you know that's probably the joy of a family going and seeing a film like this, that they can all get something out of it.
For sure. My time's just about up, but I just wanted to ask. I did see that your name was attached, if I'm not mistaken, to Memoir of a Snail, which is another amazing film that came out this year. I'm wondering, because of the animation connection there, did Adam Elliott pop his head in on this production to see what was going on and what it was all about?
Well, it's really interesting. So Pierce Davison, who did the one with the robot war, the sandcastle, was one of the lead animators on Memoir of a Snail.
Oh, right.
And so Memoir of a Snail being such a beautiful work of stop-mo.
Certainly is.
And that Pierce worked on that and then came and directed his own chapter of our compendium. So it kept a really nice connection that we had these two very different projects going and bubbling along at the same time.
Very
But
cool.
Memoir's just a triumphant work of.
I agree completely. And I spoke to him recently. He was a good chat too. But no, thank you so much for your time. It's great to catch up with you again, and I hope we can have another chat. I'm sure you've got more down the.
We'll keep in touch. I've got coming out in. Maybe April, we haven't set the date, is the film that I produced with Nicolas Cage, The Surfer. We definitely should talk about that down the track.
I am up for it, absolutely.
Because it's a bit of a bonkers film set in... it's a very different visit to the beach to Magic Beach, but...
Awesome.
But that'll be a fun one to talk to you about. But, you know, it's always good. So, we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely. Thanks, mate, and have a good rest of your day.
No problems, Glenn. Good to speak. See you, mate.
1985. The Coca-Cola Company released their ambitious new drink, New Coke, leading to one of the biggest marketing disasters in history. 5 years later, it was rebranded Coke 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Glenn, we made a horrible mistake last week,
I know.
as was pointed out to us by a long-time listener, Brody Kane. We did not mention Toxic Avenger when we were talking about 1984.
Yes.
I mean...
Exactly. Hang on a sec. Brody, are you listening? We have a bone to pick with you because...
Technically, like, yes, it did come out in 1984, but it didn't come out here in Australia until 1985.
Correct.
So we could be talking about it this week. It's not on my list this week.
I mean, there could be method
could be.
to our madness, you see.
We could have done it intentionally. We could be talking about when movies came out in Australia.
Not only was this guy so disgruntled with what we neglected to say, he recorded a whole video about it and sent it to us privately.
Of him yelling at the screen.
Yeah. And we're going to play it right now.
Well, you better say the Toxic Avenger, mate, because I'll be very fucking set if you don't.
Electric Dreams. Ewoks.
Oh, here we go. He might say it. Where's the Toxic Avenger? Fuck me.
Suck on that, Brody.
Sorry, mate.
So, no.
Fucking.
He's such a long-time listener and a loyal listener that I think we can give him a good ribbon.
I really love his voice. I just want to do the rest of the show as Brody.
He should be our intro announcer.
We're doing 1980.
You the fucking boys.
We're doing 1985 this year. What a fucking year of film. Why don't we'll start off as we normally do by talking about the top 10 grossing films of that year.
All right. I've got them listed. Do you? Do you want to go through them?
I do, but
Okay.
you can do it. I'll do it as Brody.
Loving this.
I'm curious as if our lists are going to be the same.
All right. I can't do it.
Yeah, I think my list is different to yours.
Alrighty.
That's interesting. My list says that number 10 was View to Kill, the James Bond film.
Yeah, nah. Let me just bring up the actual...
I was looking on Box Office Mojo.
Okay.
But, admittedly, it did also have things like Beverly Hills Cop, which was on the previous year. But
here we go. Highest grossing films in the US. Oh, hang on. Yeah, no, I got it right.
Have a look at Box Office Mojo. It's different.
Wow. We found a ripple in the kink in the system.
In the space-time continuum.
Hang on, have we been correct or wrong for the last few episodes? What the fuck is going on here?
That's interesting.
I believe you anyway. Go through your list and we'll see how
it matches
Box Office
up.
Mojo.
Like, as I said, it does mention films that were in the previous years.
Okay.
So maybe if you take them out.
All right.
These are very different.
Yeah. Wow. All right, let's just...
my list...
We'll go one at a time. Number 10 through to number 1.
Number 10 is View to a Kill.
Spies Like Us.
My number 9 is Fletch.
Goonies.
Number 8, Police Academy 2, their first assignment.
What? Witness.
7, Goonies.
Jewel of the Nile.
6, Witness.
Cocoon.
5, Cocoon.
Out of Africa.
Rocky 4.
The Colour Purple.
Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Rocky 4.
Beverly Hills Cop.
That was last week, wasn't it? Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future. But Beverly Hills Cop is a 1984 movie.
It is, but this is the actual top box office for the year. And back then, movies were often, especially if they were popular, they played in cinemas for more than a year. They would just keep playing.
No, I get that.
This is just going by box office gross.
Okay, but this is going the actual cap of the year from January through to
only
December.
movies that were announced in that year.
Or released in that year.
Yeah, so that's interesting, isn't it?
Wow.
Well,
anyway, we've just rambled off a bunch of movie titles, which I had a lot of to ramble off anyway, so we've kind of cut that down.
Yep. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it is true. Like, when movies, sometimes movies were top grossing.
Well, also, as you pointed
years.
out to Brody, Toxic Avenger, is it 84? Is it 85? All right, well, let me just... there's too many great films of this year to actually go through. I'll lose breath if I do, but I'll go through some. Breakfast Club, Purple Rose of Cairo, The Sure Thing, Ghoulies, Missing in Action, Mask, Baby, Secret of the Lost Legend, Porky's Revenge, I should say, the Care Bears movie, Ben, Cat's Eye, Fraternity Vacation. How about The Stuff?
Yeah, we talked about that in the Movieland podcast.
Fletch, Lady Hawk, Brewster's Millions, Silverado, Day of the Dead, European Vacation, Fright Night. There's so fucking many. I could just keep going on and on.
I'm curious to see how much overlap there is in mine after your list.
Well, I've got too many. You just keep going because, it looks like our list is the same size.
Yeah, like I've got To Live and Die in LA, Weird Science, Commando, Better Off Dead, Life Force,
Return of the Living Dead,
Fright Night, with Lady Hawk. I think you mentioned Reanimator,
Santa Claus the movie,
Desperately Seeking Susan,
Elm Street 2,
King Solomon's Mines,
Commando,
American Ninja,
Teen Wolf,
Perfect,
Real Genius,
The Sure Thing,
Silverado,
Demons.
Fucking all right, I've had enough.
No Retreat, No Surrender. I'm gonna go
Aussie and say Coca-Cola Kid, Quiet Earth, Death Warmed Up, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, Frog Dreaming, Fair Game, Fortress, Empty Beach, Burke and Wheels, Wilson Burke, Sky Pirates.
Yeah, so many.
Yeah.
Avenging Angel, Crush Groove, The Peanut Butter Solution,
Yes.
Turk 182, Star Chaser, The Legend of Orin.
At the start of the episode, I said this was the hardest decade. Yes.
Igor and the Lunatics.
Fucking hell. That's a trauma one now.
Zone Troopers, Standalone, Miami Super Cops, if you know, you know. Transylvania 6500.
So what? It's our
My
job.
Science Project, Young Sherlock Holmes.
Oh my God. This is our generation. Like, we were kids at this time.
I was 6 years old in 1985.
So we were 6 years
We
old.
were 6 years old, yeah.
We are the same age, people.
So that, I just still feel like your dad.
We're the same colour here.
So this would have been prime video store going time.
Oh my God,
I wouldn't have seen, I don't think I would have seen any of these. The Last Dragon, for fuck's sake.
Look, a
The
lot
Shogun
of these,
of Harlem.
a lot of these are very, very much.
Life Force with Matilda May's
Yep. So
face.
It's our job now to sort of nominate what we think are the best or favourites of the year, and I can't narrow it down to one, but I have gone to three. I've got a tie with three because they're all very personal to me for this year. Movies that I couldn't not include, but.
Okay.
Let's see if we are aligned. I'll just do all three, and then you can do your 1, 2, or 3, or however many you got. So the first one, which you probably would have guessed if you thought about it, Follow That Bird, the Sesame Street movie.
Yeah.
It is just a really, really wonderful, important film to me. Then I would have Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And these are equal. These are not like 1, 2, 3. These are equal. Pee-wee's Big Adventure just speaks for itself. And then Reanimator, which is arguably has been my favourite horror film for most of my life. Maybe bumped off the mantle in the last few years when I factor in things like Chainsaw Massacre and Nightmare on Elm Street, but Reanimator is the one that really got me into horror.
See, for me, I mean, it's in the top 10, but Goonies.
Yep.
Goonies is an incredibly important film for me, for my childhood.
We have got 3 posters on my wall from 1985 right now.
Yeah.
You know, I've got Goonies there. Back to the Future, was that this year? Yeah, 85.
Yeah.
And Frog Dreaming.
But I would also say Return of the Living Dead. Like, that was it's probably my gateway horror film.
Well, it is to you what Reanimator was to me. And isn't it funny how they're both comedy horrors?
Yeah. Well, that's when you're a kid.
That's what got us.
But No Retreat, No Surrender.
Yes.
I mean, which is like, it's a tough one going up against American Ninja.
See, for
because I
me,
watched the fuck out of American Ninja.
I feel the same way about these films that you do. I'm going to just factor in the fact that it was probably a few years later before I discovered them.
Yeah.
Like 85, I wasn't about that, but 87, I was all about that.
I mean, I probably, funnily enough, of that list, aside from Goonies, Beverly Hills Cop, and Back to the Future, and maybe Fletch, I would say the one that I've watched the most is probably Lady Hawk, but it is not my favorite.
Man.
But I used to love it as a kid.
I have watched the shit out of Fraternity Vacation.
Oh, yeah.
Brewster.
Oh, yeah.
Enemy Mine, like, that's another one that I just flogged on VHS.
But I remember, do you remember Star Chaser? I think I talked about it on the show a while ago. Star Chaser, The Legend of Orion. It was
yeah.
The cartoon.
Yep.
With the sexy gross mutant aliens, like cyborg.
Yep.
Cyborg men and stuff like that. I used to love that cartoon.
Wow, man. Should we
many.
see if the Boneheads are struggling with this as much as we are?
Journey of Natty Gann.
Holy shit.
That year as well.
That's John Cusack?
John Cusack
Man.
and the girl from Lake Placid. And
Yeah. I can't remember her name, but man, because I like one of my, like, if you don't know me, my 2 big genres that I love the most are horror and family films. And there's a particular era of Disney that I love, and it's that Natty Gann era, and then going backwards. Anything back from that, I'm all about, with the live action Disney. That was such a wonderful movie. Kind of crept under the radar, and I didn't discover it till much later in life.
Yeah. And I remember Daryl's a funny one, because I remember watching that. Like, that's one that for me has really dropped off. Like, I watched it hundreds of times as a kid.
Yep.
Like that and Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah.
Like I watched
that
them
was
both.
85 too, wasn't it?
I don't know if it did. I didn't see it on my list,
Okay.
so I don't know if
Keep going.
it is. But I watched them both. But both of them
86.
I haven't watched
Yep.
since the 80s.
Yep. Daryl, though, like, it was one of those sci-fi adventure movies like Short Circuit. They kind of had a bit of an adventure and a bit of like government conspiracy, going about it.
All I can really remember is him going up to the ATM and spinning all the money out. I'm like, oh, what a power.
The last time I watched Daryl, I was quite taken by how much of a drama it was. It's the same with The Boy Who Could Fly.
Boy Who Could Fly. Yeah.
Right? Like, as a kid, it was a magical movie to me, and all I could think about was a water pistol with piss in it. Like, and now I watch as an adult, it's a full-on, like, psychological drama.
Yeah.
All about autism and shit. And, like, as a kid, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
it's just about Fred Savage and his
right.
piss water pistol.
yeah, and this... No,
It's not water.
piss.
Piss. Let's see what the Boneheads had to say.
Welcome to Bonehead Weekly Fun Size, and we're back to the 80s, and we are here for 1985. Where do we want to start? You want me
I'll
to
go
start?
because I
Okay,
actually
go ahead.
cared about 1985 because there was a big movie in 1985 that was, again, another detrimental movie to my childhood and even to my adulthood. Still
Out
to
of
this-
Africa.
No, dang it. No, it's not that. Never mind. Wrong movie. I want to talk about Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That is my favorite movie from 1985. Again, I'd lost count how many times I watched this movie when I was a kid. And I've watched it all the way to adulthood to the point where I've introduced it to my kids. They loved it. I mean, it was Pee-wee, guys. I mean, it introduced the world to Pee-wee, and I've loved him ever since, and I still miss Paul Rubens to this day. I still wish we had him. But everything about Pee-wee, when you were a kid, you wanted everything that Pee-wee had. You wanted that bicycle. You wanted that breakfast machine he had in his house. You wanted his house. I just loved Pee-wee. And also it spawned, it gave us Tim Burton. So, I mean, just everything about Pee-wee's Big Adventures. I honestly think is a milestone, and it doesn't get a lot of credit.
So I'll go next. There was two. I'm having a hard time. So if we do a really quick honorable mention, I'll go with the other one. Both of them I've watched recently. One of them I showed to my son, and that's the one I want to talk about. It's a movie that never quite got finished by its director, but it's still probably the director. If you've ever listened to him interviewed, it's the most mirror of him. That is an example of who Dante is, and it's Joe Dante is, and it's Explorers. And I showed it to my kid. I bought the special edition Blu-ray a few months ago. He was right, but it's once again, Joe Dante said in an interview, it's a little too, and he thought it was a fair criticism. It's probably just a little too much Joe Dante. And the third act of it never quite got finished. The movie was taken away from it, but I still love it. There's just a wholesome 80s thing to it where these kids just build something and they have an adventure. And it really, like Flight of the Navigator, it's just one of those movies that I loved, that whereas I never connected with Pee-wee, these types of movies did. And it probably speaks of I had no desire to be where I was at, and I love these movies that went far the fuck away.
This is with me, like, again, I was never, and I still to this day am not an ET fan. I never was, never will be. I don't think I can never connect to it.
Your hatred of Reese's Pieces knows no bound.
But movies like Flight of the Navigator and Explorer, I did connect with, and I just love those types of films. And I never could fathom why people talked about ET and not Explorer.
I'm going to go with the obvious one for me, but it's one that I've loved. I've now seen the musical version of it 3 times.
Bledge.
And that's Back to the Future. Back to the Future is a touchstone film for me.
Holy shit! I thought he was going to do Brewster's Millions.
Never heard of
it.
Never heard of this film.
It's probably too smart for you, Chad. Why don't you go watch your cartoons? Anyway, but not to the Back to the Future cartoon. That's also too smart for you. No, Back to the Future is, oddly enough, as you said, Joe, it was, I think about, and matter of fact, it plays different for me now since my father's passed away, because it does, like, would I have liked my father if I met him when he was a teenager? And it's a fascinating question to ask.
Oh, I don't know that I would. I wouldn't have.
I don't know. Like, the more I find out about my dad, is since he's passed, people are like, "Oh, I knew your dad back when he was blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Oh, did not know that about it."
Yeah, because that was the simple premise between the two Bobs. Was hold on, what if you went back in time to your mom's and dad's high school? What if you found out your mom was a slut?
And would you like it because he one of the Bobs saw his father's yearbook and he was like student of the year or whatever, and he goes, "Well, I've liked it." Right. Yeah. And so it's a great question. By the way, Joe, what was your honorable mention? Because I got a quick one too.
My honorable mention is a little movie called The Breakfast Club. Meant a lot to me, but it means something different now rewatching it.
Well, that's a classic 80 movie, and mine is a classic 80 movie that is the 80th of 80 movies ever, and that is really Rocky IV. That you can't out Reagan Rocky IV.
You can out Reagan Rocky IV. It Reaganed us up.
Because if I can change, Joe, then you can change. We all can change.
And we both know we can't. Chad, you got an honorable mention?
No, I'm good.
This has been Bonehead Weekly Fun Size.
Fight. So there you go. So Chad joined you with Pee-wee's Big...
Yeah, I know.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. He loves it.
It's such a great film.
And Explorers. We didn't even mention Explorers.
No, but Joe's right about the fact that movie kind of teeters off at the end. I don't enjoy that movie because of where it goes.
Yeah.
The first half, I think, is one of the greatest things of the 80s. And then, I don't know,
Then it just ruins. Somebody should remake it, but...
Do it properly.
And you remake the first half exactly the same.
And tack it back onto an alternate cut.
Like Jan de Bont or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Like the Psycho.
Yeah.
Like, line for line, shot for shot.
But
then fix the end.
Who takes a movie away from Joe Dante who's already proven his worth?
Pieces of shit studio executives, that's who.
What are we up to now? What are we doing?
We're doing movie battles.
Yes.
The original miniseries, which is an odd one to put in this section.
This is what I was going to ask you.
Versus Return to Oz.
Now, you chose this battle, and I want to know, is it because both films traumatized children?
Yes.
Is that exactly...
That's exactly
because I'm trying to think, what's the connection?
Yeah.
Have you gone random, or is there something, and I thought it has to be...
No, because they're both movies that...
Yep.
that you would have seen as a kid that terrified you.
That as an adult you look back on and you don't want to watch again because of how scared you were.
Yeah.
Or if you fucking
like
freaks
Wally
like
Mercer.
us, you want to go watch it.
Yeah, you're like Wally Mercer. You slit your throat in the bathtub before you want to go back and watch these movies. Because they're so terrifying.
Ah, shit.
I mean, it's a real tough... Look, I would say, for me, it's going to be It.
No, for me, it's Return to Oz.
Yeah, that's
so
interesting.
this is a battle.
Because for me, I mean, look, it's longer. It has a better ending. They both kind of go a little off the rails at the end.
See, I think...
but Return to Oz gets silly.
I think the same for It. I think It gets way too stupid. And changes from the book. Like, I mean, we don't need the whole orgy stuff that's in the book, but the actual...
I've never read the book, so that doesn't matter.
The origin of It, the creature, in the book is not a giant...
spider.
It is a spider. But they changed something about it that I remember at the time going, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Plus, it's also, you can see the strings holding the fucking...
Yeah.
They just couldn't pull it off.
Let's face it. Really, when I think about It, I actually just think about the first movie.
Yeah, because it's childhood adventure.
Because of the childhood adventure.
Yeah.
It's the end stuff. All I remember is Richard Masur killing himself.
Yeah.
But then I was like,
you called him Wally. You called him Wally Masur before.
Did I?
Yeah.
It's
I haven't heard that name for a long time.
Richard Masur.
Wally Masur.
Richard Masur.
Yeah.
But
no, like both films have a really strong place in my heart.
I love Return to Oz. We're playing it at Monster Fest.
Yep.
And I pushed it pretty hard to play it. And it is great, but
it's
the chicken bit is so
Hang
weird.
on, Penny? Is it Penny the chicken or?
I can't remember what the
I
chicken
should why
is.
talk like this?
Yeah. Is it Henrietta or something?
Yeah, Henrietta.
Yeah. And then, what's that? Is that a chicken?
The Gnome King.
The Gnome King. The Gnome
That's a
King.
sandwich.
But when you consider that, like, he's the ultimate bad guy, but before that, you've got the Wheelers and Mombi, who are far more terrifying.
The funny thing is, right, the Wheelers are terrifying, right? They are the stuff of childhood nightmares.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, before I'd read the books, I thought to myself, look, this is a very odd kind of character to be in a Wizard of Oz story. And I thought they'd made it up for the movie. They're in the book exactly like they are in the movie.
Yeah.
Which,
where do they come from?
The Wheelers.
Yeah.
They're just like, I mean, it's a bit like Middle Earth. Like Oz is broken up into all these like...
Right, they're just from another
part. Of Oz.
And they've invaded Munchkin Land.
I wish I could remember the origin of the Wheelers, but it does have a whole part about them.
Yeah, right.
Not in the original book, but in one of the
I might have to download because I can't read anymore. I might have to download the audio books of the original.
We're looking right
Wizard
now
of Oz.
at a pile over there. All of the Wizard of Oz books are over there. I'm a big fan of them. Sitting over behind the Stormtrooper there.
There.
They're the Oz books.
All I can see is Pacific Heights.
Except one of the volumes right now is in my ensuite because I read a chapter when I take a shit.
A whole chapter, ladies
Well,
and gentlemen.
I'll be going to the toilet and the family will say, how many chapters?
There's 86 chapters in this book.
Until my legs are numb. All right, so I don't know if there's a winner in this one. It's not a battle. It's
Too
just
close to call.
Yeah, it's just an agreement that they're both good.
They're both good. Yeah.
It's a bit of a dud segment, really, isn't it? Bam, bam, bam.
Bang, bang, bang. Yes. All right. Keeping it quick, keeping it rapid. My rapid fire review recommendation for this week is Forsaken Desert Vampires. I went back and I watched this gem of a film.
You're not going to wait? You're not going to wait?
No. No. I had to watch it now.
2 weeks ago, this was the director that you wanted on the show the most. And I said, I'm going to try and make that happen.
Yeah, look.
He's jumping the gun.
It's part of it because I can't watch this guy's entire catalogue in one day.
Okay, you're working it
So
up.
I'm working my way through because he's done a lot.
Just save 8mm too until next time.
Yeah. Well, I've got like The Covenant, which I've never seen and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But Forsaken Desert Vampires, I have not watched since 2011 when it... 2011?
No, it'd be like 2001, yeah.
2001. September 11, 2001 is when it came out here in Australia. I know that because I was seeing it the night that the planes went into the Twin Towers.
Yeah, this is before you had a pile of fucking pornos under your arm.
Yes. Like, admittedly, I saw the planes fly into the Twin Towers at a porn store I went to after.
I saw
watching,
one guy like that TikTok video, your story of the Twin Towers, and I'm like, I want to click on this guy's profile. He's going to be a perv.
He's going to be a perv, yeah. That's all I'm worth. I'm only worth one like.
Look,
but
it's been
I went back and watched it again, and it is surprisingly good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the part that I like the most, really, not the part that I like the most.
Did you have my DVD? Because I can't see it here right now.
I don't know. I watched it on... I watched it
Keep
on...
talking, I can't find it.
Streaming service of some sort.
Keep going.
But it does star Jonathan Shea, Kerr Smith, Isabella Miko, Brendan Fair, all like people from TV, which is great.
Yep.
There's a collector's edition. What's on that? What are the special features?
We have got widescreen presentation.
Well, that's a bonus.
Your audio commentary from J.S. Cardoni. You've got 3 never-before-seen deleted scenes, 2 featurettes, including Hard Body co-stars and actor profile on Brendan Fair. You got talent profiles.
He was on Roswell, and that was about it.
Original movie trailer, bonus movie trailers, and a picture disc.
A picture disc?
Yes, I think that means the disc has a picture on it.
I want to know what...
Take it home. Have a gander.
I want to know what Hard Body Co-Stars is about.
Just bring it back.
But yeah, that's it. Yeah, check it out. If you haven't seen it, I believe it is J.S. Cardone. Is it Cardone or Cardoni?
I'd say Cardoni, but maybe I should have researched that had I known.
I guess is he Italian or is he Spanish? If
Yeah,
he's
that's
Spanish,
true.
then it's Cardone. if he's Italian, it's Cardoni.
That is a very good point. I'm gonna err on the side of Spanish. All right. So,
but it's his favorite film of the ones he's directed.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that. So I watched a movie, a documentary, in fact, called Casa Bonita Mi Amor, which is
the Enrique Iglesias story.
That's way funnier than I thought. Remember that song? Fuck, that was a great song.
Yeah.
No, this is a documentary about Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Oh.
And they purchased the restaurant of their childhood. So they have in Colorado there is this family style restaurant called Casa Bonita, and it's one of those massive playground restaurants where you go in and there's caves and things to explore. There's a waterfall where divers dive and blah blah blah. And it got shut down during the pandemic and fell into disrepair. Like it never reopened, and they hated the thought that this thing was going to get demolished. So they purchased it for a pretty penny.
A princely sum?
Yes.
Why would they have had to purchase it for a princely sum if it's going out of business?
It's the property. It's the property value,
Right.
right? But they're
not just buying the business, they're buying the land and the whole thing.
Yeah, so they go into it and with the promise to the community, and it's a promise they've put out there on the nightly news, we're going to bring it back to its former glory. We're going to make it even better than before. And then they get inside and they have a look at the work that needs to be done, and what was an investment looks like it's going to put them in debt even for these guys. And they're like,
wow.
shit, we're going to have to make a lot more television if we're going to afford this. And they end up putting tens of millions of dollars into this place.
I suppose.
Well, wait till you watch it. It is so fucking good.
Yeah, right.
And just going behind the scenes, watching the stress and the anxiety of these two guys.
Because I don't think they put tens of millions of dollars into the football club that Ryan Reynolds and Dingo bought.
Well, this was just like they bit off more than they can chew. They didn't comprehend the work involved with today's standards.
You would just think it's just a restaurant.
Yeah,
how much can it cost?
No, it is an amazing documentary. It's a really fast, snappy one as well, and it makes you kind of feel for your childhood the way they do. Like it's a really loving look back at their youth.
Well, what is it they say? Nostalgia is more addictive than crack cocaine.
I want to tell you what the biggest heartbreak of it is, but I can't because it is a spoiler. But watch it to the end because it's got such an interesting finale.
Something happened to Chota Dog?
Thank fuck he's not in it. I'll tell you what.
Not Chota Boy.
Oh,
Chota Dog.
Okay. Not the little bitch.
Not the little bitch. You call me little bitch 15, 16 more times and I'm out of here.
Anyway, there you go. Check it out. It's on, I believe, Amazon Prime. Casa Bonita d'Amor.
Casa Bonita d'Amor.
There we go. That's
the show.
That's it.
This has been Good Movie Monday, and you have been excellent.
It has been a great movie Monday. Don't forget to go to goodmoviemonday.com and click through to all the socials. Subscribe, people. Click the bell. Get notified of all of our other videos because the interviews drop. Interview with Robert Connolly from this show is going to go up on Thursday. You've seen it or heard it on this show, but if you missed it and you want to watch it standalone, you can do it.
You could do it.
Also, the archive to everything else we've ever done is there. Take us out, man. Take us out. Want a beer? Want a beer?
I had taken us out, and then you continued on. I had the perfect out.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was Good Movie Monday. and you've been, I can't remember now, I can't remember what I said, but I was like, and you've been great. And then you just started talking, the whole social thing again. I'm like, well, that's the end. That's my out. I've blown it.
I accused you of bringing down the show. Well, what the fuck did I just do? Have a beer, mate.
No, thank you.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Yuck.
I expect to see you skull that.
No.
Just do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Gross.
Do it.